Jim Cornette has been invited to AEW Dynamite, but first, the WWE still hinting at a possible return of CM Punk. Ever since his AEW contract termination in September, there's been several incidents on WWE television that have led to fans wondering if the company are hinting at the return of CM Punk, including apparent references to his past promos and much more. One of the things that was taken as a clue was a recent spot that saw Shinsuke Nakamura wipe out Ricochet with a go to sleep, something that USA Network's social media replied to by saying best in the world, a clear tease or even troll of a CM Punk return. On last night's episode of Monday Night Raw, Shinsuke Nakamura would appear in a backstage promo where he spoke in Japanese, where he would make a cryptic call out to an unknown person. This when he said the following: "I'm still looking for the next sacrifice. Where are you? Do you want me to choose you, or will you choose for me? Go ahead, step forward, awaken me. What are you afraid of? Poke the lion. That is what a strong, brave hero does. Do it. Show yourself. I am waiting." It's unclear exactly who Shinsuke is referring to, but considering the recent speculation over his decision to hit a GTS, many have now taken this as a call-out to CM Punk. Elsewhere on Raw, World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins would speak ahead of his upcoming title defense against Drew McIntyre, where he would say, "Go cry me a river," again with fans taking this as a shot at CM Punk, with this being the line used by Jack Perry at AEW All in London that initiated a backstage altercation, and the Second City Saints' ultimate firing 1 week later. It's worth remembering that as it stands, all reports have suggested that a Punk return isn't imminent based on sources within the company. However, WWE are still doing little to squash the rumors themselves ahead of Survivor Series in Chicago next month. Next up, another match has been added to WWE Crown Jewel. This weekend, WWE head back to Saudi Arabia to host the 5th annual Crown Jewel Premium Live event from Riyadh, a show that will be headlined by a huge bout between Roman Reigns and LA Knight, with the undisputed Universal Championship on the line. Whilst that likely will be the main event, we now know one of the matches that will kick off the show on Saturday night. Following his loss to World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins last night on Raw, it was confirmed that Judgment Day hopeful JD McDonough is set to battle Sami Zayn on the Crown Jewel kickoff show, which will be his first singles match on the card of a main roster pay-per-view, albeit on the pre-show. On top of this, a number one contenders match was announced for next week's episode of Raw, where Ricochet, The Miz, Bronson Reed, and Ivar will compete for a shot at Gunther's title at some stage in the future. And next up, a tribute has been paid towards the late Jay Briscoe. On January 17, 2023, the wrestling community would be rocked by the news that then ROH World Tag Team Champion Jay Briscoe had lost his life in a car accident in Laurel, Delaware, an incident that left both his daughters in hospital with serious injuries. That would lead to not only an influx of tributes from wrestling fans and wrestlers alike, but also from his local community, where Jamin was viewed as a popular and supportive figure to those in the region. Taking to Facebook this week, the Laurel School District would honor Briscoe, real name Jamin Pugh, announcing that the locker room at the Laurel Middle School has been renamed in tribute to the ROH legend, and the post reads: "During halftime of the Laurel vs Delmar football game, a special memorial dedication was presented to the Pugh family in honor of Jamin Pugh. The Laurel Middle School locker room will be renamed to the Jamin Pugh Locker Room. Thank you to the Pugh family for your continued dedication to the Laurel School District." In the photo attached to the post, Jay's daughters, Gracie and Jaylee, can be seen on their feet, which shows good progression after they were pictured in wheelchairs shortly after the crash. Jay's son Gannon can also be seen in the photo, as well as many other members of the Pugh family, as they pay tribute to Jay's legacy in the local area. Next up, this former AEW talent confirms that they are a free agent. Former AEW star Sonny Kiss would recently appear as a surprise in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match at Impact Bound for Glory earlier this month, this following news that her All Elite Wrestling contract had expired in September. This would then be followed up by a report from Mike Johnson of PW Insider, who revealed that Sonny was set to become a regular fixture of Impact Wrestling, soon to be TNA Wrestling, going forward. On this week's episode of Women's Wrestling wrestling talk, Kiss would clarify the ongoing situation, noting a contract is not yet in place with Impact, with all possibilities still being on the table, and Sonny would say, "Let me just start you off with, I am not signed to Impact Wrestling." I'm like, damn, we couldn't even get right into the interview yet. Let me just tell everybody that's not true, that's not what it is right now. But I'm open to what's for me, and I'm still a free agent. I'm open to wherever I'm supposed to be. I will be there. At the Impact taping that followed Bound for Glory, Sonny Kiss would compete in a yet-to-be-aired match against current Impact Knockouts champion Trinity, and whilst the plan is seemingly for her to appear more often for the promotion going forward, this is more of a handshake agreement rather than an exclusive deal. Next up, a top AEW star has given his thoughts on the departure of CM Punk. Heading into the Full Gear pay-per-view in November 2021, CM Punk and Eddie Kingston would be caught up in an on-screen rivalry with an apparent undercurrent of real-life heat fueling their promos. Since CM Punk's departure, those that are opposed to the straight-edge superstar often cite the words of the Mad King during a promo between the two, where he would state that nobody in the locker room likes or wants him there, and that everybody else is afraid to say it. During an interview with Adrian Hernandez this week, Eddie would be asked if he feels bad that his words are used against Punk as evidence of backstage heat, and he would respond,
"Do you feel bad that that moment was brought up again?" And you're like, no, I'm doing my job.
No, I'm doing my job. Then that's how I felt. You know what I mean? I didn't know what anyone else in the locker room felt. I didn't care. It's how I felt. I didn't want him there. You know what I mean? Me and Punk don't like each other, and that's fine. You're not going to like everybody you work with. You know what I mean? Do I wish he was still in AEW and I wish it worked out differently? Yeah, because he helped the company. But other than that, I don't give a what he does. You know what I mean? Because me and him never got along anyway. You know?
And it don't concern you. We don't have to be best friends. That's not.
No, we don't have to be best friends to fight each other. It makes it better when we're not best friends. You know, when we have to fight each other. I don't wish him bad, but I don't wish him good either because I don't give a
Despite the real-life heat or possible illusion of it, CM Punk and Eddie Kingston were able to create on-screen magic, which often happens when reality bleeds into angles. And before we continue, let me just quickly plug my latest list video where we explore 10 facts WWE wants you to forget about Roman Reigns. So far, the YouTube algorithm has decided not to push it out as much as I'd hoped, potentially due to some of the controversial topics discussed, so be sure to go and give it a watch after this video to see what I mean. It's a good watch whether you love or hate the Tribal Chief. And next, Jim Cornette has been invited to AEW Dynamite. Former wrestling manager and promoter Jim Cornette has made a significant impact in the wrestling podcast space over the past few years, solidifying his position as one of the most listened to voices in the industry. One consistent theme throughout his shows is his distaste for the majority of modern day wrestling, albeit with some outliers, with him often critical of all Elite Wrestling and WWE's television presentations. Despite Jim's dislike for individuals such as Tony Khan, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, one top AEW name has invited Jim to this week's tapings of Dynamite, which will go down in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. Speaking on his My World podcast this week, Jeff Jarrett would be asked by co-host Conrad Thompson if he would consider inviting Cornette to the show this week, given their off-screen friendship, and let's just play the clip.
Are you going to go pick up your old pal Jim Cornette in Louisville and bring him down to see the show?
I would love to have Corny. I'd love to have him.
I know he doesn't travel, but
That's
the rumor and innuendo is that Castle Cornette is in Louisville.
It is.
Why don't you just go scoop him up and bring him in?
Louisville, Kentucky, home of Churchill Downs, home of the Louisville Cardinals, and home of AE Dynamite this Wednesday night.
AEWTIX.com is where you can pick up your tickets. And let me just say, if the lights go off and the lights come on, somebody's getting hit with a tennis racket this Wednesday night. Tune in, AEWTIX.com.
Cornette himself has since responded to the request from Jarrett, with him seemingly turning the offer down, taking a jab at AEW's attempts to increase their attendance through ticket deals. This was claiming that the tease is simply a ratings ploy from the company, and Jim would take to X to write, "I appreciate the invitation from Jeff Jarrett to attend to the AEW TV taping in Louisville tomorrow. I tried hard to make it work, but I couldn't find another person in town going, so we could split the 2-for-1 ticket offer. But maybe they can find another ratings ploy in time." Following the pandemic, it's a rare sight to see Cornette leave the castle grounds, let alone be a wrestling-related event, so I think it's safe to say that this invitation will likely be rejected. However, no matter how you feel about his takes, you can't deny that a Jim Cornette AEW debut would be a sight to behold and would light the industry on fire, and can you just imagine the heat that it would generate in front of that crowd, not to mention the boost in viewership that it would bring from non-AEW fans. What we do know is that AEW President Tony Khan has cited Jim as a huge inspiration to him getting to where he is in wrestling today, although this isn't necessarily something Cornette likes to take credit for. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 shocking Roman Reigns facts that WWE wants you to forget.